You're reminded that this meeting is being live streamed, and therefore the public will be able to watch our proceedings and also join us virtually, and are welcome to ask questions through the chat, and those questions can be asked at item 17.0 on our agenda during the question from the press and public section. We have sufficient people here to meet quorum. I am going to call attendance just to let anybody know that is watching at home who we have, and we'll again ask trustees to, when moving and seconding things or making a motion, to identify themselves for those that are watching. So representing Area 1.
I'm Adeline Lehman.
Area 2.
David Scott Moncrief.
Area 3, Nicole Gillis sends her regrets this evening. Area 4.
Heidi Campbell.
Area 5, Erin Evans sends her regrets.
Bill Snow.
And Helen Gilbert, Area 5. So the meeting is called to order at 6:31. And we acknowledge that today's board meeting is being held within the traditional territory of the Denizah and Treaty 8. The first item is to look at our agenda and see if there are any additions to the agenda, first of all. All right. If there are no additions to the agenda, could I please have a mover and seconded? Moved by David Scott Moncrief, seconded by Bill.
We do have the one addition this evening
Oh,
for the late item.
oh, the late item of correspondence, sorry. Thank you, Terry. There is one additional item, the late item of correspondence, that we will bring forward from Tamara Russell in the correspondence section. Thank you for keeping me on track. Okay, moved by David with that addition, seconded by Bill. Calling the question, all in favor? All right, the agenda is carried as adopted. Presentations and delegations, I do not believe we have any. We will start then with trustee input and celebrations, and we'll start with trustee Campbell.
Yes, I've been to a couple of PAC meetings. I went to the Taylor PAC meeting and actually got called away, but did leave my report with the president there. And they were busy with some of the students doing the shoe boxes. So that was interesting, and the kids were having lots of fun doing that. And then I also sat in on a Zoom meeting with the Bell Donalds PAC. And I wrote a list, but I can't remember what else I did.
You said the academy.
I did. We had the academy, the BCSTA Academy, which is the British Columbia School of Trustees, and we did that by Zoom as well.
We'll move down to trustee Lehman.
I attended the academy as well. It was done, it was a virtual, done very well, I felt. And the presenters were interesting and learned lots. Attended the committee meeting, the SUPAC, which I always find gives a little bit of an idea of the pulse, maybe not always 100% representative of what all the schools are feeling, but it gives a bit of a snapshot. So I appreciated attending those. And then I guess me figuring out what my jobs as vice chairs are going to all entail.
All right, trustee Scott Moncrief.
I've been in contact with all my schools and most of my PACs. Everything's going very well in the schools. They are having fun with their Christmas concerts, virtual. That's a whole new game for them. They seem to be enjoying it. Presswood 2 is looking to move their grad to June for safety rather than January, which is good. No, it was some really good conversations.
Trustee Snow.
Alrighty, I also did the academy, and then I was over to see Randy at the high school, and Lori at Bird Ambrose, and then I also, with the academy, took some of the information, which I really enjoyed, and share that with some other groups that we work with. And really struck some interaction with it.
The mental health piece or?
The communicating amongst groups and
Okay.
make a nice cycle kind of thing so stuff flows better.
Yep.
Right?
Good. Right. So I have been in and out of numerous schools and I've been in contact with all of my liaison schools. I continue to be impressed by the level our staff has risen to meet everyone's needs during this pandemic. What's going on is a real source of pride for our board. Your special ornament that you're getting tonight, every single North Peace grad received one as a special touch. It couldn't be the same as it always was, but there was a memento for all of those students. And that's just a small piece of the evidence of what's going on in our district. There are things that we will be very happy to leave behind when the pandemic is resolved, but there's also some learning that we would like to carry forward. And we heard a little bit of that in our framework presentation tonight from RO about some of the processes that have been put in place that actually lead to a calmer start for the day. But I want to assure you that even if it's different, Christmas spirit is evident and alive and well in our schools, even if some of the traditions have had to change. That buzz, take off buzz was definitely there today when I was in one school. And I know there's lots of anxiety for staff, but staff are presenting a calm, even if there's a frantic action below the surface, they're carrying on. Stephen will speak later to some of the initiatives our schools are taking to support those in need in our community and to spread Christmas cheer. I have attended PAC meetings for all of our schools and fit in an extra one. And it is evident that we enjoy a tremendous amount of parent support in this district and that there is a confidence in what we're doing. I've kind of become the good news fairy. I am, wherever possible, linking the local press to events that are happening in our school. And Dr. Kearney is opening a time capsule tomorrow from Sheldon Steele 20 years ago with his social studies class, put items in a time capsule that they're going to open tomorrow. And Melissa DeGroot, the vice principal from Ann Roberts Young, will be there because I think she was part of the class that built it. When I asked her the other day, okay, tell me what you put in it. I can't remember. It's going to be a total surprise when we open it. And that, of course, led to a conversation of what would we put in to a time capsule for this year. And toilet paper comes to mind. So the one initiative that I would like to speak to that I have been working with 2 classes at Ann Roberts Young is with Ann Roberts Young in proximity to Peace Villa, there's an opportunity for intergenerational learning that we haven't really been able to get going on yet because of COVID, but 2 classes are preparing rustic Christmas ornaments, and on Thursday morning, they are going to go and decorate one of the trees outside of Peace Villa that the residents can look down on with these rustic Christmas ornaments and some solar lights. So I'm quite excited to be part of that. And I did go to Margaret Ma when they presented a $1,000 check in memoriam for Natalie Small. And because it's hit that $1,000 mark, Natalie's name will now go on one of the walls at the hospital. And because of that, I can speak to the fact that those tracking sheets that you sign in when you go in and out of buildings are really important, because I did get my notification related to the fact that my name was on the visitor's log and there'd been a COVID exposure in the school. So I can speak to the fact that the processes that we have in place are there and are working and being followed. Yeah.
Can I just say one more thing that I forgot?
Absolutely.
The District of Taylor put on a parade,
I
Christmas
heard about
parade.
that.
And it was just done excellent. But I'd like to give a big shout out and a celebration to one of the teachers down there because she was her husband is a firefighter. She was at the beginning of the parade, and as she went, she called every student's name out and wished them a Merry Christmas in person, and that was really nice. Because on my block, she named every child that was on that block. So I just want to say, you know,
Incredible.
that's the kind of things our teachers do.
Thank you. That's an excellent example.
Did you say Wednesday they were decorating that tree?
Thursday morning at 9 o'clock.
I'd like to go see that.
Yeah. It's,
Distance, but still.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that Dylan will be there, because that's who I've been in touch with. And I think he intends to be there, so that's kind of exciting. So if you have any other good news that's going on in your schools that you're aware of, that we might not be aware of, please feel free to let Matt Prepost and Dylan, I think you say it, Jean Colin, know, because they've been really good about covering. Obviously for Dylan, sports are not out there for him to cover to the same degree, but I know that when I talked to them, Matt and Dylan, the concept was they wanted to get as much good news out this month, especially as they possibly could. So,
We need as much good news as we can get.
Yeah.
Something to be cheered about.
and there's lots of good news coming out of our schools, so that's pretty exciting. Let's move on to 5.0. We're looking at the approval of the minutes of our regular board meeting for November 16th. And those are pages 6 to 14 in your agenda package. And we'll just give you a chance to look at them before I call for a mover and a seconder. Oh, yeah. Funny, that seems like a lifetime ago. I have a mover and a seconder for these, please. Moved by Bill, seconded by Madeline. Are there any errors or omissions? Calling the question in, all in favor? Carried. Business arising from these minutes. So there were some additional letters generated on our advocacy related to internet. And there is a response that I just opened today that will be part of correspondence for the next meeting. Any other business connected, David?
Did we get a hold of Dawson Road, and did we have a discussion with them?
We were not directed to contact us, and we were, I think,
Making
action
the
item.
number available or in our system, so we pass that on to everybody.
It did get passed on. It did come up at labor
Phone
management.
number?
Okay.
Yeah. And it did come up at labor management, and I believe, help me with my memory on that one, Terry, a little bit, that there were ongoing discussions.
Ongoing discussions, but I think we are just still monitoring.
We had that lovely, nice little warm spell.
I know.
We said earlier that it's going to be interesting to see what happens as we get a return to cold and snow.
Absolutely. So I want to keep on.
On it?
Yep.
Okay. There is no further business related to that. We'll, out of those minutes, we will move on to 5. We'll move on to 6. We're looking at the excerpts of the regular board meeting, October the 19th. page 15 in your agenda package. And these are the excerpts from the in-camera meeting. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please, on those? Moved by David, seconded by Ida. Are there any errors or omissions? Short one. All in favor then? Show of hands, that's carried. Announcements and reminders, review of additions and changes. One of the things that we added at the agenda setting meeting, and just for those of you that didn't attend the academy, January 30th will be our NIB business meeting from 9 to 12. And it is a Saturday. It will be virtual by Zoom. And we will look to have MLAs present at that meeting, our local MLAs present at that meeting. And we also said that each group, each district, if they had motions that they might want to take to AGM, would take the information and share that at that point in time to see if we were going to do one big motion. But if we had it written up and ready to go, then they could critique it before it went to legislative committee to look at. So that was an addition. Is there anything else that people know that's upcoming that should be reflected on our announcements and reminders? Moving on to item number 8 then, senior staff report, our superintendent's report.
Thanks, Madam Chair. And yeah, let's just see Leah switch and then, yeah, thank you. That's great. All right, so start kicking off the report here. Just a reminder to trustees and the public that we continue to offer any updates that we do receive from Northern Health or anything to do with COVID. We add on to our COVID resource link on our website. And it is worth noting that I've put a link here for everyone to check out. It's the Northern Health Exposure website. And what's great about it is that in addition to giving us information on where the exposures have taken place, they also have some really great information on the first half of the page here around their process, what they do, how they do it, and then following that is the actual exposure list itself. So as we kick off the report here under our framework for enhancing student learning and intellectual development, I wanted to let the trustees know and the public that the provincial government, Ministry of Education, along with key partners around the province, teachers, administrators, all kinds of groups, are now looking at the BC performance standards again. This was a very well-received process and product in the past. And when we did some curriculum changes, they were sort of left, but now they're coming back to them and they're updating them in alignment with the new curriculum. So we're quite excited about that and looking forward to embedding those and that practice back into our educational programming. Second item here under intellectual development is with permission from a grade 3 student, Ben Krasnowski in Bert Ambrose School, shared a writing sample. And so not only does it give us an idea of his literacy skills in writing, but it also kind of tells us some nice messaging in there in terms of what do you do when you're feeling down, and that we're all at one point we face obstacles, and how we get through them is really important. So there's a nice writing sample I encourage you to read through. And this is what it looks like, a little harder to see. Spent a couple of days at Marmurray last week, and during lunchtime in the music room there, the students are able to go in, select their instruments, or bring in a friend, play the piano, sing. And what's also neat is the very first picture on the top is in one of their practice rooms. So there's a couple of students in there playing, and they can do that. It's sort of without everyone else hearing them. And so we have 2 practice rooms there, and that was being well used during lunchtime. So it's kind of nice to see the options that they had during that break time. Moving on to human and social development. I want to thank the board chair for sort of collecting actually all this information and liaising with our local media. And as we reached out to the different schools to ask if they were doing anything, we were quite surprised, pleasantly surprised at the number of activities that continued to happen this year, even during the pandemic. And of course, these are really important to our community, that these charity drives and initiatives continue. So this is just a sample. There are other things going on, and of course, anytime you throw up a list, you risk missing someone. However, it's just to demonstrate just the number of activities and charity drives. And the thing of it here around human and social development, it's good for everyone if you're involved in these charities drives. It's good for the students, it's good for our staff, it's good for the community.
Just to plug that Cole Central's pallets, they've built wonderful yard ornaments and big ornaments out of pallets, and their live auction goes on online with those tomorrow.
Good.
There's snowman and trees and things like that, so if there's anybody listening out there, that's happening.
Fantastic. Next area in our framework is around career and skill development, and our principal of Careers and International, Brian Campbell, has provided some brief information here. What's neat is that normally they would be bringing large groups for tours of the college and helping with that transition, but this year we worked specifically with small groups of Indigenous students, bringing them by the college, exposing them to some of the programming and the classes that were available there, and it was well received by all accounts. Under operations and HR, just wanted to share, we now receive a monthly workforce report from the government in terms of the attendance information. And these are just generalized, but there's some good information. So if I pull up the one on percent of teacher absences, what this shows us, the red dotted line is the provincial average for illness of teachers across British Columbia. We can see that our school district is well below the average most of the time. It's just been in the last week or so that we've kind of peaked in terms of absences. But overall, our absences due to illness is well below. And the other piece is that we're still able to offer some professional development, as you can sort of see by the blue line, even though that does include things like personal leave days or that kind of stuff. The reality is that we have been able to continue to offer some professional development, and that's usually above the level that's being offered in the rest of the province. So that's good to see. And we'll continue to monitor these, and there are other reports that you can check out, including educational assistance, and all of those pop out to a bigger slide. Under Truth and Reconciliation, there's a great backgrounder this month. And it's the background around the Indian Act, and that is what it's called. And that's embedded in the Constitution, and that's kind of the basis for a lot of the constitutional and governmental relationships between federal government and the bands and how it works. So I do encourage everyone to have a read through that, and it's great background information. And finally, under our Take 3, celebrating other things, we've celebrated a number of things already in this report, but there are 3 specific reports from CM Finch in terms of some of the things that they've been doing at their school. And if you remember, trustees, they presented to us not too long ago at their framework for enhancing student learning and some of the things they were doing. So we've captured that here. Baldonnel has listed some pictures here around their EDST programming as well as the buddy reading. And our chair would be well familiar with that as well. And finally, Robert Ogilvie has provided a mosaic picture here of some of the programs and fun that they're having at their school as well. So this, one last thing. We have captured a couple of examples of Remembrance Day links, videos here from schools. And as trustees noted, not only was there that collective video and program out of Bert Bowes, there were also a number of individual types of presentations that schools have prepared, often with green screens, which we're seeing really emerge as a really neat video process, and they're enjoying that. A couple of extra pictures here. So that, along with the very first brief regular activity HR report, is my report, and I respectfully submit.
Could I have a mover and seconder, please? report moved by Ida, seconded by David. There's no items to pull out for motions.
No. Correct.
Any discussion or questions for Stephen related to his report?
Stephen,
Yes.
one thing I would like to, wasn't in here,
Yeah, that's great.
like a celebration kind of thing.
Great.
With my other hat, being involved with the hockey team, I would like to thank the school board. We had to, our food drive had to be juggled around because our usual location wasn't possible to use. So the schools let us set up in the parking lots, and it was very helpful, and we had a good success. And that was largely due to the locations.
Terrific. Good to hear. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions related to Stephen's report? All right, calling the question though, all in favor of that report? Moving on to 8.2, Secretary Treasurer's Report, page 17 in your agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My report tonight is quite small. We have the Human Resources Summary Report for support staff for the month, as well as there is information regarding the TRB response timeline for new teachers that was asked to be brought back. And that is the information I have for you this evening on my report. Respectfully submitted.
There are no items to pull out for motions, so can I have a mover and seconder on that? Moved by Bill, seconded by Madeline. Discussions and questions related to that report. Here you go, Bill.
Please.
Been waiting
This
for
is the
this
one.
Please. Okay, I mean, this has been a topic of ours for a long time. But I mean, a big thing with us is recruitment and retention. Okay, get them and keep them. Sorry to refer to our employees as them, but I'm just saying we have to get employees and keep employees. And in my opinion, this is not helping us. Okay, we have, I mean, it says here, somebody from 17, 18, still outstanding. I don't know the circumstances, right? But I mean, that's a person that's been 4 years waiting. You know, 7 people in letters of permission. Okay, we only have, well, I don't know what number at right now for letter of permission, but it's not much more than double that probably, right? So like half of them are waiting. Okay? I mean, it doesn't help us keep our employees is the big thing, you know. Our HR can do whatever they can, and they do a great job of doing it, of getting them. But we need help keeping them. Okay? And this, to me, does not help us.
Well, our motion at AGM was passed, so the BCSTA is on this now. It was evident at from the discussion at the AGM that this is not just an issue for us, and everybody is bringing as much pressure to bear as they can. I think it's good that we've got the information back, and they're saying that it's a bit quicker, but it's still not good enough.
I think we have to stress that part too, they brought up, like, for us to keep our teachers, we have to get this. I hate losing teachers for not legitimate reasons. And these, to me, is not a legitimate reason.
Like if I can add, Chair. Yeah, and so we'll continue to bring this information back, Trustee Snow, and just to remember that in a handful of cases, it's not the TRB's process that's holding it up.
Yeah, that's why the EE.
Yeah.
I think says employee.
Yeah.
And so that's why I didn't go to those ones kind of thing. But the worst, I mean, out of these, I mean, that one from 4 years ago.
And it can also be the institution, the education institution associated with that employee.
Yeah.
That holds things up. I think where some progress, not enough, has been made is in terms of the processing speed and the extra people that they hired at the TRB, but they're still not there yet.
So I guess we watch what happens with it through the BCSTA. And if there's another avenue, you know, we could do a follow-up letter. The BCSTA itself right now has a special group that is looking at recruitment and retention. And Gloria Roberts, our NIB chair, is the head of that. And she asked in September or October for all of this information from all of the northern districts to take back. So I'm quite happy, if it's the will of the board, to direct a letter to the BCSTA that we've just reviewed this, and although there's been some improvement, it still is an ongoing issue that we would like every potential avenue of pressure put on to change the situation.
Do you need a motion for that? Because I'll do it.
I'll second them.
Do we need a motion? I do need a motion.
I mean, because this is unacceptable.
There are people right now in the district that are close to retirement that they were dealing with this when they came to our district. And like, you know, and I was.
Let's not kneecap ourselves. Let's get this done.
Yeah.
All right, I will do a letter to the BCSTA, and I will circulate it to you prior to sending it to see if there's any other comments. And I will make sure that a copy goes as part of our correspondence.
It's nice to hear we're not the only ones that have the issue,
It's still a
But-
problem.
but nobody should be having the issue.
And if it can't be solved, some sort of mitigation, do something. Don't just leave them hanging.
Well, I'll work on the wording and I will share it with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know I have to do that, but I'm trying to figure out how it's your report, not mine. I'm just talking myself, yeah, I'm just trying to.
Or you could have the motion that you direct staff to rate that letter,
All right,
which would fit inside of the report.
which way do you want to do it? Doesn't matter.
I think that would be the better way to approach it.
All right, so we will direct, I need a motion to direct staff to write that report. Moved by David, seconded by Bill, that we will direct the staff to write the letter to the BCSTA
Bring it back to the next.
and bring it back. I like think, yeah, okay, I was being timely.
Would a staff letter or a joint letter be better?
But Terry would be writing it on behalf of
behalf
us
of the board.
Okay, yeah, okay.
and bring it back to the next meeting.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Pardon? I'm going to call the question. All in favor calling the question of accepting the report? I'm not used to giving other people work.
We have noticed.
I'm working on it though, right, Madeline? All right, moving on to 9.0, reports of the regular committee of the whole meeting, November 30th, 2020, pages 18 and 19 in your agenda package. Can I have a mover and seconder related to those minutes? Moved by Ida, seconded by Madeline. Are there any errors or omissions? Calling the question, all in favor? Business arising from the minutes? Seeing no business, we will move on to the policy committee report, and trustee Lehman is going to present that.
So for those that weren't at the meeting, the motions for the policies revisions are in your package. One is on video surveillance and the other one is on budget development. I think I'll let Stephen or Terry speak to it.
Yeah, and so in fact, if you read out that motion, that will then prompt the ability for questions and discussion, correct? Right? So if you don't mind, Madeline, going ahead and reading out the first one.
Video surveillance?
That, and then starting at that policy number
7,017 video surveillance. It's proposed December 7th, 2020. And it references the School Act.
Yeah, sorry, and to, in the agenda there, to actually read out our recommended motion.
Also, the recommended motion is that policy 7017, video surveillance, be put forward for notice of motion.
Thank you. And then the chair will.
So I need a mover and a seconder on that. By Bill, seconded by. Okay, now we get to discuss. Any discussions related to this?
This is the one we have to make sure that it goes on the registration for the buses.
And there's some action items listed that we'll do.
Yeah, I have a question. If these policies are going for notice of motion, do we not only need a mover?
Yeah.
And then after the 30 days, we have the seconder? Is that? the way
Yes,
it's-
sorry.
Sorry, okay.
Correct. So we got the mover.
I just,
Which was,
just to be clear that it's going to notice of motion.
Notice of motion, thank
sorry,
you.
Madeline.
I missed that in my
Yeah.
understanding.
So that's all we do right now, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Because we may get information back about it,
that's right.
so then we'll discuss it there.
Sorry. And then,
Okay, and that's my bad, because there's no second there, and I just got in a roll and did it, so is there any other discussion related to this motion? We didn't have one at all, and we need one. So, all right, calling the question then, all in favor?
so, in
No.
fact, the
No,
discussion.
so that part
All that
doesn't-
will come at the next board.
All
meeting.
comes at the next, okay, all right.
My apologies. All we're doing now is putting it on the table.
Yeah,
There doesn't
okay.
actually there wouldn't be any discussion and questions that will come after.
No, actually, what we usually do is we do the notice of motion,
Right,
and then if there is no discussion because you don't have a seconder,
yeah,
and then at the next meeting, after we have the information that the public and staff or anyone will bring
Okay.
back to us, then you have the seconder and then the discussion.
okay, I don't think I've ever had a brand new motion before, so that's good to know. We haven't done very many of these. So I need to review this whole process, so I'm better with it.
I apologize.
That's okay, we're learning, together we learn. Where is it? It's up on the wall somewhere, right
I
behind me.
read that somewhere.
All right, so we'll move on. Madeline, if we can get you to read out the recommended motion related to policy 8001.1.
Budget development, monitoring and reporting to be forward for notice of motion. That's a revision.
And that's a revision. So I just need a mover. Moved by Bill. No discussion, because that comes next time, after we have feedback from the public. Okay. Wow, I'm moving along tonight. All right, Erin sends her regrets. We're looking at the BCSTA report. Just again, there will be a board chair call on Thursday. If you have any questions, that will be a Zoom call. It's at a weird time compared to some of the rest of them. Thank you to everybody that was able to attend Trustee Academy. I believe that all trustees were registered, And because you were registered, if you go through the hub and go to the information from the academy, the keynote presenters' presentations are live till tomorrow. So if there was something that you went, darn, I really missed, I did re-listen to some of Michael Fullen's. If I knew how to save it, especially that one on Africville, I would love to do that, but we tried and we couldn't figure out how to do it. But if you have a burning interest to listen to some of those again, it goes not quite at the warp speed the first time around. So it is there, and again, because we were all registered, I think we can access it. Any other comments from people that attended Academy? I know some of you already did it in your celebrations, so any further comments related to Academy?
I thought it was surprisingly well done. Very organized, very.
Definitely was well done.
They were great people. I mean, it was, the networking wasn't there, but I mean, it's the way life right now.
Yeah.
I mean, the rest of it was informative, for sure.
I felt Michael Fullen's musing on, because we, with the framework, we see the data collection and obviously what kind of that, what's measurable is manageable. And his underlying question about that deep learning is what does drive it? Is it just the fact that you have to perform, or is it actually like what drives the numeracy and literacy up?
Yeah.
So to look at it from a different angle, I thought that was interesting. Yeah, very good.
Some of the mental health stuff was well done too.
I thought it was all very well done. Even when they broke us into little rooms.
Yeah.
That's, you know.
Moving on to 10.2 BCPC, Trustee Campbell.
Yes, the AGM is on January 28th. It will be a Zoom meeting. And at that meeting, there'll be two votes for directors, one from Vancouver Island Coastal, one from Fraser Valley. And we haven't got the candidates' names yet, but when we do, I will ask you guys' opinions. That's all I have to report.
I haven't forgot about the Pro-D committee. We were getting policy up and going first, and I just want to take a look at a couple of dates with Erin and see where she's headed, and then schedule a policy committee meeting. One of the things that was very clear is the concept of financial literacy was there front and center, and so I may have a conversation with Terry about how she can help us out with that, but I haven't done that yet. And then the Joint Health and Safety Committee meetings are there as part of your package. I did circulate Cole's notes of some of the things that were discussed as a report at the last board meeting, just so that you had that information if you got questions from the public. I don't know what else there is for me to add related to those minutes other than good stuff. Right, under correspondence, and Stephen has circulated it, we had a late piece of correspondence that came in today, and we've moved it into correspondence. And in the interest of honoring people's concerns and making sure that we are knowing that people can raise concerns with us, we've been asked for these to be read word by word at tonight's meeting. So, you want to read some of it, or do you want me to?
Whatever you want.
So my questions to the Board of Trustees and all those creating and following the policies set forth regarding the use of dangerous hazardous products. Have you reviewed the SDS sheet for the Alpha Hand Rub hand sanitizer? And it's been attached on Google Drive. Do you understand the dangerous and hazardous nature of this product and the adverse health effects that will arise with continuous exposure that goes untreated? Do you understand that your OHS and WorkSafe BC COVID-19 safety plan is an umbrella for the workforce only? WorkSafe BC has advised that children should be washing their hands with soap and water. Why not make this the blanket policy? Is there an effective first aid reporting for children that report adverse health effects from continuous exposure to this product? Are you following up with the parent community recommendations to put into place a request for consent to the parent community that offers transparency and allows for an informed choice to be made at the parental level? If not, why? Since the umbrella of safety for student falls under the Schools Act, please refer to Section 8 and familiarize yourself with the school law. It will be helpful in creating a new policy or process in regards to the new COVID-19 measures, and there is an attachment. In reference to policy number 2006 dated 02/17/24, revised February 20th, 2017, board policy and public documents. This policy encompasses the regulations and district student code of conduct addressed within your school district. Does the same code of conduct apply to all the school district 60 workforce and trustees? And that's 10110, the code of ethics. I understand that there are an assortment of questions, and I appreciate the opportunity to express my concerns as a member of the parent community.
So Chair, yeah, as the parent noted, there's a number of questions there, and certainly happy to, if there are any clarification questions right now. Otherwise, staff could certainly take this back and summarize what we know to be some of the responses to these and bring them back for the next meeting, and we would need a bit of time to do that.
And I believe some of these, this is not the first time that some of these issues have been raised with staff, and I know that you've already been addressing some of them, but I think there's some new ones here tonight. So is it acceptable to the rest of you that do we need a motion to direct you to do that? Or can we just ask you to do that? Bill?
We'll make a motion if you need.
Okay, go ahead, Bill.
Please take it back, look it over, and we'll look at it next meeting, please.
Seconder for the motion? Seconded by Ida, just because I saw her first. All right, all in favor? It will be reviewed and brought back to us.
Thank you.
New business. I asked that the mandate letter for Jennifer Whiteside be part of your agenda package because she is a brand spanking new minister. And although that there are certainly within that letter a continuation of some of the things that are ongoing, there are some new things. And I just wanted to provide us with an opportunity to look at it and have any further discussion if people wanted to do so. Ida?
Yeah, Ellen, I want to thank you for bringing this to our attention. We all received it, but I think it's very worthwhile because of having a new government for us to go over this. I know at times we've had 3 or 4 different ministers within a framework of one ministry. So we haven't always had a big difference and stuff, and I think it's a really good practice as when we have new government to look at the ministers with a new minister at the mandate level.
Any other comments, questions?
Chair?
Yeah.
Just to add that staff here as well as around the province are reading this very carefully as well. It is a majority government. It has a clear mandate for the next 4 years. There's of course a timeline to all of this. It won't happen tomorrow, but you can be sure that we're also reviewing some of the implications around things like childcare and the connections to those ministries. Again, it won't happen overnight, but we do know that over the next 4 years, there are going to be some changes and that sort of thing to our service delivery.
The whole concept of this being cradle to
Right.
is embedded in here, and we've been hearing that for a while. So,
And I know that BC STA is working on some of these to have us have some sample policies and stuff, so that'll be good.
all right, and in your packages, there was the statement of financial disclosures, and it was attached. This is something that we have to do on a yearly basis, and we all have to do it independently. And we need to get the forms to Leah because she has to send them in January. So we will be nagging if you haven't done it.
We can bring it in the next board meeting.
All right. Michelle, your turn.
My turn. Oh dear. I think everybody's really happy. It's the end of last 4 days, 4 more get-ups for teachers. Yeah. So I do have a couple teachers that had tested positive for COVID and are actually sick. So that's a bit of a concern. But I think they're on the road to health. But one of the teachers, the COVID virus attacked her heart, so she now has a heart murmur. So this is it's really a serious thing. And I like the policy around mask wearing. I think that, Bonnie Henry was onto something there. Who's to know what's going to happen after Christmas? And I do still have lots of concerns around that. Can I ask something about the reminders here, announcement and reminders? There is framework presentations on February 1st, and I'm wondering if that is public, or is that just for the board?
You'd be more than welcome.
You'd be more than welcome. We couldn't get them all in on the committee of the whole meeting.
Okay.
So we added some additional framework days. So I will ask just direct staff to let you know when those are.
Great. Honestly, I love watching them. I learned so much about what's going on in schools.
It's terrific. So we capture that.
It's a celebration as far as I'm concerned.
So would you mind downloading that Excel document and sending it to Michelle? Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll probably come in person too to those. Are they done virtually still?
Yeah.
Great. Other than that, have a great break. Happy holidays. I think we all deserve it. I mean that. We all, everybody in this district has worked so hard this fall. And and to jump in like this with an interim secretary treasurer, good on you to do this through the chair, thank you for taking, stepping up and helping out. And thanks, Ida, for the gift. And right, we all pull together at this time. And so thank you.
All here for the same reason.
So Maureen is not present tonight, but I would like to thank her for her years of service. She has stepped down as president of our CUPE union. She served 6.5 years as vice president of the union, 3 years as president, and 1 year as union trustee. So she's made a substantial contribution over and above her regular job. So I want to thank her for her service and hope that her new bus run that she's moved on to, that's more on pavement, is better for her and that she is having a good time driving. And then questions from the press and public. We don't have anybody from the press here, but I wanted to make sure at this time in the agenda to say thank you to them for the coverage that they have been doing of the events within our schools that are spreading Christmas cheer. We really appreciate that. We don't have any in-camera motions to be brought forward for implementation.
There's no questions.
And there's no questions from the public. So we are ready to call the question to adjourn. Moved by Bill, seconded by David. All in favor? All right, our last meeting of 2020.
Happy holidays to everyone.
Happy holidays to everyone.
What a year.
What a year.
And I guess will they stop the live stream? Yeah, they do that.
Thank you very much. Yes, I will do my best.
Thank you, Michelle, and happy holiday to you. Have nice for your uncle.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Drive carefully.
Yes.
Did you drop something just there?
Did I drop something?